Hello guys, welcome back. This video is a little long because it's complete analysis of inclusive growth. So let's start.
Today's topic is inclusive growth. See, why is this topic important? See, I've written down everything here so that I do not have to look into anywhere. I do not have to go to any other resources or refer to any other else. So whenever I want to revise, I can come back here to this copy and get everything done with it. So why is this topic important? See, the question was there in 2016 over inclusive growth. The question was there in 2013, the question was there in 2014, the question was there in 2019, the question was there in 2017, and another question was there in 2019. So just imagine, and then there was a question in 2014 again, which was a link of capitalism point and inclusive growth point. So you see, so many questions have been there from this one topic, and you know how important this is in our syllabus when we saw. Okay, so first things first, what all resources are we going to use to know about this topic? See, first thing that I have is opened here. This is Ramesh Singh book, and in this we have inclusive growth here. I also have another tab opened here which is on Sanjeev Verma. So this book also has another chapter. So what are we going to do is, see, Sanjeev Verma is good when you want to know about the theoretical part of a topic, and Ramesh Singh is good. This is my personal point of view. And Ramesh Singh is good, why I'll tell you, because this has a practical aspect to whatever we want to study about what are the short-term policies of the government and what are the long-term policies. So see, according to Ramesh Singh, this whole thing ends in 2 pages. And according to Sanjeev Verma, this whole thing ends in 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever pages. But in these 5, 6 pages resides one fixed question. So we'll have to start with this. So let's begin. If you see the pattern of the question, you will find in some question they're asking you about the challenges. In some question they are asking you about the inclusive growth relating to CSR and how they have linked the two questions together. In some question you will be asked about the strategy of the inclusive growth and how we need to comment on a statement that has been given here, and I'll show you how this statement is there in Sanjeev Verma book when I was going through that. And 2017 it was asked the salient features of inclusive growth. And then, has India been experiencing such a growth process, and then analyze, suggest measures. So all of these are what they're asking you for: the challenges, they're asking you for the suggestions, they're asking you for the features, and here they're asking you that make balanced and inclusive development elusive. So what are the issues and how are things going? So again, you see there is something that they have asked about the current question. Then this answer is a little tough for me, because right now if you are just looking into inclusive growth and not over capitalism, you'll find this answer to be a tough one for answering, because this includes 2 topics together, but apart from that all the topics are single. So it's important that we go through it and know about what all do we need from this topic so that we are able to answer all these questions. Okay, so first things first, we need to know about the introduction, so that whenever we ask the question, we have one general introduction, that if we don't have anything, we can at least write that. So this is growth process which yields broad-based benefits and ensures equality of opportunity for all. So this is something that if you don't get anything, you can write this, and if you have some better answer to it, you can go for that. Then we have one small topic which is not important, but it is something that you should be knowing. So difference between growth and development, 2 terms which we very randomly use in our daily lives. But what is the difference? See, development is qualitative. The standard of living that you talk of is qualitative, it's development, but growth is quantitative. How? If you have progressed from being a poor class person to a better class person, that is growth. But even if you are better in that better class person, whether your lifestyle, your standard of living, your health, your wealth, everything is better than what you were, that is what is development. So development includes distribution of output or ability of increased output and income to reach the bottommost stratum of society, equitable distribution in the economy. However, growth is just the arithmetic number, the GDP numbers that we talk of, which signifies that yes, the output of the economy has increased. So the question that arises is, why after so many years India's growth is still not inclusive? Why are we still fighting for this basic necessity? Why are we still thinking about it? Why is the government still focusing on this? The first thing is, see, high growth has been achieved, but it has not benefited the Indian masses in terms of lowering the absolute poverty, creating employment opportunities. So you see, poverty is still relevant. Employment opportunities, let's not talk about it. You just know how 2-3 days back this everything was trending on Twitter about Modi and everything. Why? Because just because of the employment and the exam thing that was going on. So the employment thing is still not prevalent right now. Then we have intra regional imbalances. So what's happening is, the first problem is, see, Indian economy has a structural problem of what, that our economic dependence is on agricultural sector. So sector contributing the least to the GDP, that is the agriculture sector, which is just contributing 18%. I have written this term so that whenever I revise I still remember, so that even if it's not used I at least know about it. So 18% is just contributed to the GDP, and that is the most dependent sector. And services, 55% it contributes, and this is the least dependent sector. So this is one reason that yes, the thing that is contributing more is the least dependent of. Then we have, see, India's growth process has a missing link of earlier maturity. What? That, see, initially we were starting with the agriculture. So logically, just like people talk of that it's class 10, it's class 12, then it's college, then it's your professional exam, and then you have your career, then you have your settlement and everything. So that way our country also had a process to start with. First it was agriculture, then it had to go to the manufacturing, the industrial part, the production part, the machinery part, and then it had to jump to the services, which right now the developed countries are already having. But since we opened the inflows of FDI in our economy, these developed countries started sending in their requirements for what? Their requirements for services. Their requirements weren't how to produce or how to know about producing, because these were something that was already here. So we directly jumped from agriculture to services, and we missed out this manufacturing part. So that is why they say that India's growth process has a missing link of the earlier maturity of services. The services matured earlier. And so reasons for the huge growth of service, like I said, see, surge in BPOs, surge in KPOs, that was there. See, this is not important what we need to know, but yes, you need to know what is the basic of the BPO and the KPO, like the business processing outsourcing and the KPO. And then see, due to the need for the value added services, like I said, that MNC started coming in, FDI started coming in, so their requirement was value added services, so it established that. Then we also had low cost of hiring, obviously labor was cheap, then it was easier to impart skills, the large young workforce was already here. So this happened, and that is why things started going towards the service side. Okay, now there was a question in 2014. This is your task. I will not give you everything here spoon fed. There was a question in 2014 which talks about that India shifted directly from agriculture to services, and it is asking you the reasons for the huge growth of services with service industry in the country. And then it's also asking your opinion whether India can become a developed country without a strong industrial base, and that you have to comment on. So if after watching this video, go to the 2014 UPSC paper and find out this question, and do comment down if you get that, because right now I'll be discussing that answer, and I would request you all, after watching this video, this portion, do write the answer on this, because then your answer would become very, very clear and very, very simple. So let's start discussing about this answer. See, the first thing that now we know is the reasons for the huge growth of our service. Then when it's asking about what are the reasons for the huge growth of service, we've got this. Then it asks, can India become a developed country without a strong industrial base? See, in the book, in the Sanjeev Verma book only, it is given that ideally it should be first manufacturing sector before the services sector. Or why? Because there is a linkage between the manufacturing sector and agricultural sector, either through raw materials or maybe as a market for the industrial produce, and also for employment opportunities. So you see, just like there's a linkage between the syllabus of class 9 and 10 and 11 and 12, there's a linkage between the agricultural sector and the manufacturing sector, and once you miss that linkage, it would be very difficult for you to jump from your class 10 study to simply your college study. Difficult, but not impossible. So your conclusion has to be a positive one. What can you write? As long as subsets in an economy are moving up in the same direction, that is the rich class and the poor class, everyone is moving in the same direction. They all are growing in the means of livelihood, their economic needs, their basic needs, in their objective of equitable distribution, everything is achieved. They are moving towards a better cycle, they are moving towards a better lifestyle, and it's not that rich is moving up and poor is moving down. As long as we have this, yes, India can become a developed country without a strong industrial base. So this can be a conclusion. So you are writing that no, it's really hard and I don't think that it's possible, but yes, there can be a small chance, because what at the end matters is that everybody is living happily. So this is one small answer of your 2014 paper. Do it, guys, it's for your benefit, because once you start writing, once you gain that confidence, only then can you start with your things. So let's now move to another topic. So now we got this, that 18% agricultural sector contributes to the GDP, but more than 50% is dependent on the agricultural sector. So what is this the reason? Why is this excessive dependence? See, India's population mostly resides in villages, and now you know when you read history that yes, peasants were there were cultivators, all of those people just knew agricultural sector portion. Then lack of employment opportunities in manufacturing sector, and manufacturing sector is only a sector that can give you unskilled work, and half skilled work also they can. So that could be helpful to the villages in which people reside. That could be helpful to the rural population. But since it's not there, so lack of employment is one option. And then lack of formal education skill, lesser growth of agro-based industries, traditional thinking, abject poverty. Then governmental efforts in providing basic, effective and efficient infrastructure. So next is, what can inclusive growth lead us to? What are the advantages? Why should we go towards it? So next is, what can inclusive growth lead us to? What are the advantages? Why should we go towards it? See, once you start knowing that what are the advantages of the inclusive growth, what can it lead to, why is it that important in our country, you can suggest measures, you can know about the challenges, you will be knowing a better way to answer your questions. How? See, first of all, employment opportunities. Like I said, once you have training to the masses, you provide livelihood. Why? Because once you have the entry of masses, entry level of the masses, and once you try improving the structure, the infrastructure and everything, whatever inclusive growth is asking us to, the income increases, purchasing power increases, well-being increases, and then the poverty reduces and employment opportunities go up. When employment opportunities is there, see, how is this growing? Because you're providing skill. Once you're providing skill, it is creating opportunities for skill development and formation. So once you're doing that, what are you doing? You are gradually shifting from excessive economic dependence on agricultural sector through employment driven and positive migration and the skill development. Because once you start developing those skills, once you start training their mind to the AIs and to the services that are demanded right now, you are enhancing them to yes, move towards this. And then one thing that we need to see is increased vocational employment. How? Because once you start focusing on the local sector, once you start focusing on people who do small jobs to spend time with the family and also to see to the economic needs of the family, then you see that yes, increased vocational employment is something that yes, inclusive growth would help us in. Then increased agro-based industries, better disposal of industries, and then reduction of inter-regional balances. So these are all something that yes, these are the advantages of inclusive growth that can help us in our topic. Then there was one small paragraph that I felt that could be helpful in writing my conclusions. Why? Because this only says, see, inclusive growth would also require a changed perception of central and state government working in tandem, creating an enabling environment for above deliverables. So I felt yes, if any question is there, whether about the state government or about the central government or about the government intervention or measures to how they can go further, I think I could use this as a effective conclusion for it. Then there was a small portion in one in Sanjeev Verma book only, that inclusive growth, see, IG for UPSC aspirants mean inclusive growth and not Instagram. So focus now. See, IG environment would require the following. What do they require? See, road and rail links first. Second, accessibility and affordability to public services. Third, energizing the ITI, the skill development part. Then policy framework conducive for investment by private sector. So we are involving private, and then creating employment opportunities which go hand in hand with everything. So what are you writing? See, now when you want to use it as challenges, you can use it as challenges. Now when you want to use it as measures, you can use it as measures. You can use it as suggestions. How? See, the first thing is that the pan-India road or rail links, which would link entire country, they would provide us what? They would provide us accessibility and affordable faster mode of transport for people. So what are we getting? We are getting a quick delivery of whatever we want. This is doing what? This is improving our standard of living. So one is, when challenges are there, you can write about how the issues of the road and the rail links are there, and even if the rails are being effective, how the product reaches till the end and it's either reaped or somehow wasted or something like that. And once you have suggestions, you can talk about that yes, instead of just having the golden quadrilateral as the most dependent highway, we can move towards the road schemes that the government has. You can talk about them so that you enhance your answer. So you can use this point as your challenge also, as your suggestion also. Then you have the accessibility and affordability to public services. So if people have the primary healthcare service, the education service, the electricity, drinking water, sanitation, their social assets like community centers and everything, and this you would get in Ramesh Singh book, where whatever the schemes are there, they are written. So here is where the schemes come into hand, and schemes help us, because yes, again in the challenges you can say that yes, even if there are primary healthcare options and education, we all know what is the government sector school facing and what are the issues that are going there, and how in suggestions how you can improve them, how the electricity, drinking water, sanitation, how it's still prevalent, the hygiene is still not maintained, the drinking water facility is still abrupt and not fulfilled. This could be a challenge, and this could be a suggestion, the way you want to use it. So you see, you don't have to remember 4-5 points altogether, you can just go with one. Then energizing the industrial training institutes for skill development, employment opportunities, and the rail rings, the delivery of system. These are very, very important, because this is something you can chipkofy anywhere. So skill development is what? Energizing the industrial training institute. So now again you can use this as a challenge, because still things are not prevalent. Even there they don't use the practical aspect, they just use the theoretical aspect, the traditional aspect. And when you want to write it as a suggestion, you can write that yes, right now in skills we don't have that much of schemes, and even if we have, the implementation is not yet made, and how we can use them, we can focus on things in a better way. Then we also have the policy framework conducive for the private sector. So private sector investment is important. You can write about, see, I mentioned here about the World Economic Forum, how they have asked to increase the private investment in order to facilitate the inclusive growth. In what? In citizens' capabilities, in labor intensive sector for India to improve. And then we can also make examples like the Tata Motors for the nano car, how they are just working so well. So all of these are something you keep mentioning here. Whatever scheme that comes in, acha skill development se related hai, okay, mention it here. Okay, it's related to road and rails, okay, mention it here. So what are you doing? Whenever you come to revise, you don't have to again refer to another copy. Oh, that scheme is in another copy. Oh, this index is in another copy. I have to. So you get everything here in this very page. This is my main motive why I'm sharing my notes with you. Then focus on directly creating employment opportunities. Employment has numerous schemes, and I should not tell you here. You should be telling me what all schemes are here, so that we can share about yes, what all schemes are prevalent in different states and how this is going on. And when we have to write as a challenge, why is it lacking? Maybe due to low investment, due to low capital utilization, low agricultural growth. And how can we benefit? We can start implementing schemes in a better way. It's not just about policy formulation, it's about policy implementation and everything like that. So next we jump to the short term policies in the Ramesh Singh book that we have. So for the short-term policy, this was written in the Ramesh Singh, and I felt that yes, we could use it this way, that what are the food and nutrition scheme, the healthcare sanitation, the housing, the drinking water, the education scheme. So what I've done is I've written all 1, 2, 3, 4 3 types of scheme here only. So now what I'm doing, whenever I have to talk about the primary healthcare services like we did and education, I can use the schemes from here, I can use the drinking water schemes from here and everything. And what are the drawbacks? The first thing that said was the schemes are subsidy based, so it just makes the schemes fail to make that target population self-dependent, and here they also act as an expenditure which cannot be covered again to the government. So these are 2 drawbacks. That is all mentioned in Ramesh Singh. If you want to refer the book, refer the book. If you don't want to refer the book, make short notes of yourself. But please don't mug up, don't buy books unnecessarily just on the recommendation. You can do it all by yourself without wasting money. Then we jump to long-term policy. If short-term policy had a drawback that it makes the target less self-dependent, that makes the target just depend on the government money, we can say that yes, long-term policy is to bring the self-dependency in the citizens of the country. Then it contains the sustainability element and the attempts by the government schemes which aim at poverty alleviation, the employment generation, not just feeding the poor, but how to bring them up from that line that they are having. Then programs which promote education, not just providing money for that education, but actually promoting them to promote themselves. And then vocalization of education. Then these are some good points that I felt that yes, could be important to me when I write my answer, because one was talking about the 11th plan, and one was decided to launch a skill development program. So what was that, or how could that be important and everything. So I felt that these are important. These are all given in your Sanjeev Verma book or your Ramesh Singh book, so you can refer to them. And these are something that yes, after which if I just open this copy, I don't have to refer to the internet, I don't have to refer to anything. If I'm said, I can write an answer, and sooner or later once I start practicing, I don't even have to refer to this copy. I can write my answer on my own. And then, like I said, I copied this down when I was reading Sanjeev Verma, and I felt that yes, this could be important in my answer. And then when I was analyzing the paper, I realized that okay, this was in a question. So in one of the questions, it was written down that it is argued that the strategy of inclusive growth, is intended to meet the objectives of inclusiveness and sustainability together. Comment on the statement. So this is something that is taken out from Sanjeev Verma, and then we have to write an answer on that. So I use some of these lines from here, and then somehow I made that answer. Now what you have to have is elements of IG. These are the five important topics which can help you write any answer that you want to. You have skill development, financial inclusion, social development, technological advancement, economic growth. How can you revolve your answer around this? If you ask for a challenge, write over skill development. Ask for a measure, write over skill development. Ask for a disadvantage, write over skill development. But just don't write over skill development. That is just one point. So when you see that skill development depends upon what? Depends upon the working age population, depends upon their health, whether they are able to do it, depends upon their education, their training, their skills. So what are the challenges? The first thing is that you have to train that workforce. You have to see to that non-employment of conventionally trained youths are removed and everything. So I took 2 points out, that according to Economic Survey 2017, it is given that 30% of the youth in India are NEET, not in education, employment, training. Another thing is in UNICEF 2019, the reports at least 47% of Indian youth are not on track to have the education and skills necessary for employment in 2030. Then what do you have? You have financial inclusion. What can you write? See, financial inclusion is like what? It ensures us that yes, the financial services to the vulnerable groups are also provided at an affordable cost, and once it's provided, it improves the standard of living, thus helps us in achieving the inclusive growth. So it is necessary. Why? Because it leads to the culture of saving, and that gives us a blowout from the virtuous cycle of the economic development. So this is financial inclusion. Then you have technological advancement. So what do you see here? See, technology is something that has capabilities to both decrease or increase inequality. So you can write about the initiatives, what all are there. Digital India mission was there. And then, in agriculture, how can it be helpful? You can write about manufacturing, education, health, governance, everything. You can write about the COVID thing that is going on and how technology is helping us in governance, how technology is helping us in education, how the online talk to the doctors, the discussion to the doctors helped us in technology with health. So this was something this was, accomplishing some rural objective, that yes, people from villages where they do not have these access to good health benefits, they could also relate through this online thing. And then we have economic growth. See, the slow growth due to the cyclic and the structural changes. So what are the targets? What are the ways we can use and allow our country to reduce inequality, increase social expenditure, that we can provide them employment? So these are means economic growth is something which is a very common topic, so let's not discuss over it. Then we have social development. See, social development is what? Empowerment of sections of the population, like the minorities section, the women, the transgenders, which can be done by how we can improve institutions of the social structures, hospitals, schools, universities. We can invest in social structures, and we can create a healthy, capable generation to handle future work. Then, but what are the problems? See, the regional disparities, the gender disparities is there, low level, slow growth. Then we have poor quality delivery system. So how can we improve that poor quality delivery system? With the road, rail linkages. What was this? This was something that IG requires. So, this is how you need to connect. Social indicators much lower for the minorities, and malnutrition among children. So these are some factors, these are some points that you can use in your challenges also, how that yes, if you don't improve social development, these are the challenges that have been faced, and if you improve, how can you improve? You can write about the schemes, write about indexes, and I have shared I've already made a video on inclusive development index, about the global slavery index. You can write about them. I shared 5 schemes about how we can use in the inclusive development, like the PM Jan Dhan Yojana, about the Mudra Yojana that you could use, about the Setu scheme and everything. And apart from that, we can also have NREGA, we can have Mission Ayushman, SBM, New India at 75, Bharat Nirman, NRHM, SS. When you're revising, you can, if not everything, you can revise just about what is Bharat Nirman here, and then you can go. So what are you doing? You've just written Bharat Nirman here, so that okay, fine, whenever inclusive development is there, Bharat Nirman can be used there. So this is how you need to use schemes, this is how you need to use the current things to that. I know the video is a little long, but do watch it, do know it, and do comment down if you really like it, guys. Your reviews do matter, and surely write me about that 2014 questions, because I do want to know that are you keeping it up with me, or is it just me putting in the efforts and there is nothing from your side. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for giving this much of your love.